guys, how's it going? Today we are going to do a bunch of annual planting. We're going to start where we left off the other day here in front of the pond. It's a beautiful time of day out here, and I love it even more that there are just so many beautiful things lining this lane now. Oh my goodness, I'm just so excited about it. But we ended here with a swoop of the Superbina, which is a pink color. What is the name of this one? Royal Plum Wine. And we've got this little space right here, right in front of the wetland filter, that I don't want to plant anything too tall because I want to be able to, you know, as you are looking from the house this direction, I don't want anything to get so big that you can't see the waterfalls. So what I thought I would try out, because we used the mulberry nemesia over there, I thought it might be fun to try the Aromanth pink nemesia mass planted right behind the plum wine. I think it would be a really pretty kind of complementing color, and I think it will show up beautifully. It doesn't get too big. What is it, 8 to 16 inches tall? No, 10 to 18 inches tall. And they spread out about 10 inches. So they're not a huge plant. It says they can do fold apart sun. This is going to be a little bit of a test for both of them. The older varieties of nemesia couldn't take the heat or sun. They would fizzle up and go away. They were more of a cool season annual that you could use in spring or fall. But these newer ones, they're pretty darn tough. I had the bluebird nemesia, which is gorgeous, by the way. I had it in some sun combination containers and out in the landscape in the sun last year, and it did phenomenally well all year long. But I can't recall that I have kind of put these pink varieties to the test in a full sun exposure area. So it'll be interesting. They smell so good, you guys. Like, oh, they have kind of a vanilla scent. They just perfume the air, and I just thought it would be so pretty right here. So that's what we're going to start with. Then we're going to move on to the containers in the Persephone garden, and we've got some gorgeous things. I was just back at the high tunnels kind of putting together what I thought might be pretty. I'm excited. And when we're done with this group of annuals, we're going to load back up at the high tunnels and continue on and do more. So let's get the nemesia placed here and get it in the ground. These look beautiful. Oh, I hope they really like this spot because they are perfect right here. Even better with the cat's pajamas nepeta in bloom, and there's some iris in bloom. Look at these. Look at how gorgeous. Oh, I love it. I initially didn't want to plant any big color drifts of annuals in this area, but I think I'm so excited. I'm so excited about all the plants that we have in the high tunnel, and I really want to see this area a little bit more full and lush feeling because it's going to take a while to get there with perennials and shrubs. Hey! So anyway, it's likely that I'm going to continue on with a few more because like this juniper right here will get 7 feet wide, but it's going to take it a while. It's probably just going to sit there looking just like that for this year, and I don't want to leave the whole area blank when we've got these gorgeous plants to use. So I've got some salvia and some other things that I think would look beautiful kind of just intermixed with the things that we've already got in here, and they can provide some color and just some fill, you know, while we're waiting for everything else to sort of do their thing. Okay, let's head to the Persephone garden and get some containers done. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. Love it, love it. This is where we're gonna start. And these containers still look beautiful. We had daffodil blooms in here, and then the lavender shades pansies. The one thing that makes it a lot easier for me to pull out plants like this that look this good is that Bethany takes everything, all of these, home and plants them in her garden. So it makes me feel less, I mean, there's some years I take the spring off from planting a lot of planters. Like I'll do key planters that you see a lot, but I don't tend to do a lot of in-ground spring planting. But this year we did a lot because I just wanted the color, and we've enjoyed it so much. But it always is such a short season. Like these have been in containers for like two and a half months or something like that. And there's that weird month, I've talked about it before, like May and then into June until the heat is like good and set in. Pansies will still do it and they'll still look beautiful, but once that heat comes, they just collapse. So unless you have annuals standing by that you can plant, it's hard to find enough of any one thing once you get into June, because everything's kind of picked over by that time. That, and it's nice to get your stuff going when it's, you know, warmed up enough to do that, and that way they're rooted in and they're already looking spectacular by June. So anyway, it's just that like weird overlap. So we're going to be pulling out all of the stuff in this pot and that one over there, as well as the two, not the ones right flanking the door, I'm going to do those later, but the two that kind of set out. This is going to be an experimental year though with these two containers because of the light requirements that each of these have, or the light exposure. It's a little bit different. The one on the far side gets a lot more light than this one. I'm almost thinking, looking at what I've got, I mean, I've got salvia, dahlias, super bells that need a little bit more sun. I'm wondering if I should switch over to like more coleus, sweet potato vine, double up, or surefire begonias. That might be safer because all those things can do sun or shade. Yep, I think we should. Let's go plant the other ones first. I'm gonna go swap out the plants I chose. You know what though? We've got two other planters just up the way that we can use all this stuff in. See those? Just past that other big pot. That'll do. Okay, so we're gonna do this container and this one. Let's get them cleaned out and then I'll lay out the plants. We'll take a look. We got this container all emptied out, fresh soil, the plug at the bottom, or the drain hole rather, had plugged. So that's what was going on there, but it's all set up and ready to go now. The other one didn't have that problem, so we didn't have to touch that one as far as removing any soil or anything. So that was nice. And this right here is what we're going with for plants. I am so excited about it. It's going to be loaded with color. So for our centerpiece, we are going with a ridiculous coleus. And when I plant this, the next layer, I won't plant them so close to the coleus. I'll kind of plant them out like this, at maybe even a slight slant. But we've got 3 of the Carolee Petite Pink Gara. We've got the Kufia called Vivid Violet. Look at that. And both of these don't get enormous. So the Ridiculous will be our nice, tall, dark colored centerpiece. Then we'll have kind of a filler layer that's more like mid-size. And then around the outside to kind of spill over the edge, we've got 3 Supertunia Bordeaux. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then in between those I chose something different for each spot. So we've got Stardiva Pink Scavola, we've got the Super Bells Grape Punch, and then we've got the Raven, Sweet Caroline Raven Sweet Potato Vine. I thought it would be fun to do kind of burgundies. This is on the burgundy side of red, and then pinks and purples. So pretty. So let's plant that times 2. These containers are done and they are going to be spectacular. If we swing to the right here, you can see the really pretty columbine. They're just starting to bloom. And this whole thing will be a sea of pale yellow here shortly. Let's go do the next pots. So those are the 2 containers we're going to plant up next, but I wanted to stand back so you could have a little update on this area. You might remember when we had the short fence taken out and gravel removed, new fence put in, and then we planted these autumn blaze maple trees this spring. And my goodness, did that ever transform this area. But we needed to have some kind of a border between grass and gravel, or we wanted to, because it's nicer, it's easier to keep tidy that way. The border still needs to be put on either side, so we put like a little concrete border on either side and then the sand between the bricks. But if you look this way, eventually we are going to line the entire even paved part with bricks. So we'll carry on, but we just went to the pavement at this time. But we are getting close to being able to seed this. There's sprinklers in already, so we can seed this with grass and it will just continue on looking like a real peaceful continuation of what we already have going on this side. So that meant also, measuring, making sure the lane was exactly the same width, and then bringing out this flower bed quite a bit further than it was. You can see where the pathway ended before, and then there was gravel all the way up, kind of in a real weird line. There was no distinction. So now there's distinction, which is great. But today, what we're gonna do is just scoot the pots out, and we're gonna be fixing the pathway here shortly. We're gonna pull it back to about right here so that we can make the line real nice, kind of a nice gentle curve out. Pots will be out here, and I'm thinking of putting just a little arbor over this walkway. But we'll also be able to mulch this whole area as well, and that will make it look really nice. So we're in process here, but that doesn't mean we can't plant up our containers. So I'm hoping these aren't too heavy. I think we can kind of just rock the containers and scoot them out, and we'll get them all planted up. Got them all scooted out. I think we're gonna have to move them both to the left a little bit, but we'll work on that when we get around to the pathway project. But these are the plants we are using in these containers. So we've got an unplugged white salvia as a centerpiece right there, and surrounded it with 3 of the Virtuoso vibrant violet dahlias, which we grew last year and they did fantastic. And then around the edge, we've got 3 Superbells Grape Punch and 3 Superbells Double Smitten Pink. I'm using a lot more Superbells this year. I typically don't have super great luck with them because they are one that likes to dry out just a tiny bit between watering. And for some reason, I just have had issues getting the water. I think it's the water that I'm not getting quite right. But every once in a while, I just want to try it out again because they're so pretty and they're so versatile. And I love that they're not as aggressive and huge as Supertunias, which Supertunias are awesome plants, but sometimes I still want to see the container, you know, mid-season without needing to prune and trim and things like that. And Superbells are just a little bit more of a dainty look. I think this is going to look especially pretty when we have a little arbor leading us in. And we've got Superbena. The Cobalt Superbena has seeded itself around. I don't know if it would come up as Cobalt, but like all of these are seedlings from the Superbena and they're completely throughout this area. So I'm thinking to myself, like, do we leave them or what should we do? I do know that we need to pull drip from around these U's because these are getting too much. There's one back in there that I know I'm going to need to replace. These look like they're coming back a little bit. We had this whole area packed out with annuals last year and they needed more water than the U's. And here they are all done. Love this color combination. I hope we do well with this one. I think it's gonna be good. Let's see what Aaron thinks. You like it?
Looks great.
Isn't it pretty? This is a vibrant violet dahlia, a white salvia, and then pink and purple Superbells and a pink lobelia.
Nice. We need to get a little bit of compost in here.
Compost, an arbor, and then perhaps a few more flagstones. All right, next two right here, which I did grab some really beautiful things when I went to go get more soil. Got some gorgeous stuff.
Oh, you got a camera.
Oh, thank you. I almost ran this over. Boy, it's good that there's people watching out for me. I would damage all kinds of equipment. Let's get this out of the way. They're so pretty. If a little squirrely. Okay, so here's what we've got for this container. We're gonna do a queen tut in the center. I'm just gonna go ahead and plant it. We're gonna keep this one fairly simple-ish. And queen tut grows about 2 feet tall by 2 feet wide. So, whoops, it should like fill up this obelisk and maybe kind of pop through the sides, which will be pretty. We're gonna surround it with 5 of the tropical shades, Rocopoco Tropical Shades Impatiens, which can take sun or shade. And these will grow like 10 to 20 inches tall, and they need to be spaced about a foot-ish, so I'm going to put them fairly close together. So let's get these in. I kind of plant them a little bit at a lean out. And then we've got a new lobelia for next year that we're able to try out. This one's called Laguna Royal Lilac. And just like with the Nemesia, these are supposed to be incredibly tolerant of heat and sun, so we should see some really pretty color throughout the season. I was just gonna use 3, but I think I'm gonna use 5, so we get more full coverage. And then we've got some Muehlenbeckia wire vine, which gets huge. I would use 5 between all of these, but we are not going to need it. So I'm just going to position this. Actually, I'm going to scoot this to where you have one coming out the front, one coming out about here in thirds, kind of. I think that'll be perfect. Yes. And there's the second one done. I love this color mix, the soft purple with the soft pink. And the tropical shades look a little bit more almost orangish when they're in bed form. Like they're pretty vibrant, and I guess not orange, just like a very vibrant, warm pink. But as they open, they lighten up and they kind of are a just very pleasant corally pink color. I love it. And I think the wire vine will be a pretty look right here. All right, the last area I want to plant today are the containers and the flower bed in front of the chicken coop. So let's head over there. At the front of the chicken coop, this area we usually plant up with annuals. There's one window box and container we need to clear the pansies out of. But I did swap some plants in here last year. We had some Oh So Easy Peachy Cream or Peachy Keen roses in here, and they just kept getting riddled with spider mites and had some winter kill. Anyway, I decided to stop fighting it. So we dug those out and put some Invincible Ruby hydrangeas in, which I'm thrilled with how strong they came back. So wonderful. So there's 3 here, and then there's one over there, and we've got kind of a menagerie of plants. We've got Zephyrin Druin, Climbing Rose here, which I'm seeing the first little bit of color on. We've got some yellow daylilies, which I keep threatening to take out, but they always look so good in the spring that I just will go with it for now. There's a Indiglo Girl Salvia that's blooming, looks really pretty. There's some sedum in here, a lavender plant. There's also a Weeping Blue Spruce and a Miss Violet Buddleia in here. I don't have all the plant choices worked out quite yet, but I do know that we are going to go in with a little kind of hedge of lemon coral sedum around the front at Aaron's request. This is one of his favorite annuals, and I used it in this bed. It might have been a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I can't remember at this point, but it was his favorite year of all the years we've planted this up. So I thought we could repeat that again, and then maybe use a few more of the vibrant violet dahlias to back plant it, because it would be a nice stair step up in size. Maybe we'll go grab some Gara. I just like this bed to be full of color and just to be a little less structured, I guess. Although as I'm looking at it and looking at the Weeping Blue Spruce, it might be nice to add some more like actual winter structure into this bed at some point. Maybe not today, but you know, even if I added in like a sphere boxwood or something like that, you know, that would bring just a little bit more of that weight and winter interest, and that might be pretty. I had a purple fountain grass in here last year. That's the remnants of it. I also brought over some of the Totally Tempted Vivid Violet Kufia. A little bit different than the other one we just looked at up front, but I don't know. Yeah, those go together beautifully. That might be a fun one to add in here as well. So I think we're just gonna have to start laying this out and kind of just looking at it, standing back and making some decisions. But in the end, I think it's gonna be really pretty. Let's Russell. Hey chicken, how are the babies doing in here? Hey babies. Hey baby chickies, they're doing great in their new little enclosure in here. They've got an inside-outside run, I showed you guys the other day, and they've been staying put. I had a couple of escapees the first day, but I got it rectified. So anyway, they can go outside in here or inside in here, and we'll probably leave them like that for another week or so, and then we'll take all of the wire down and they can just join the other big ones. We're just introducing them slowly. Sometimes more established, older hens that have already been living in a coop, they can be kind of mean to babies. So we want to make sure that you slowly introduce them so that doesn't happen. Quick little hiccup. I just realized that this area is getting way too much water, like way too much. So I'm going to amend the drip. I still want quite a lot of water around the hydrangea, but we don't need all of this right in here. I think it's okay as it gets further out this way. It did just water this morning, and that's why it is as wet as it is. So that's normal, but this area, just this little spot, just stays in a little bit more shade, and I just don't think it needs as much. So I'm going to clip some of this out and try to figure out how to redo a little bit. I wonder if I just connected that all back together with black tubing. I don't know, let me bring you in closer. Okay, so I just clipped out all of this right here. And I'm thinking, because we still need some water right here, just not the same amount. So I'm wondering if I just bring in black poly so that we just don't have water running through all the tubes. Maybe that would help. I don't know. What if I did this? What if I connected this to that? And this to that, like that. That might work. Okay, so I cut this out, this amount of drip, plus 2 extra emitters. One extra emitter there and 1 extra emitter there. So we'll test this out, see if it's still too much water. If it is, we can always clip more drip out. Planting projects are never straightforward, ever.
It looked like they ate like a ton already.
Good. So this is what we worked out for the in-ground planting. We've got the lemon coral sedum, we've got the dahlias right here, we've got a couple of rockin' deep purple salvia, and a purple fountain grass kind of tucked toward the back. And then there's a few of the Pickety Pink Gara that I just kind of want them to come up and just be this little wispy accent. And I just repeated those same plants throughout. You know, when it got a little bit tighter right here, there's just one salvia, one Gara, and a couple dahlias. And then I did bring over one of these Hollywood hibiscus. This one's called First Lady. I think this will be really pretty as a centerpiece plant right here. And there's also a couple of lemon coral sedum on the ground I'll pop in. And I'll work out the rest of the flowers in a minute. But let's get all of these planted. We just found a little frog. Look at that. So cute.
Whoa! It fell back down.
All right, we got it done. It looks so pretty and I cannot wait to see some color. But that lemon coral just pops, doesn't it? It just shows up so nice and bright in this area. Oh my goodness. And that hen, I just put her back in the run as she went straight after the lemon coral sedum and started to rip it apart. I don't have a tremendous amount of experience free-ranging chickens, but the other one that has more copper on her neck, she is pretty well behaved. I mean, she makes a mess in the mulch and stuff, but I have never seen her get on top of plants and start to rip them apart like this one. This one will get like climb up on top of a lavender plant and start just, oh my goodness. And Samantha's got a toad back in there. There it is. Look.
Did I trap him?
It's so cute.
Did I trap him?
Oh, it was just wiping its little face. I don't know. I think just watch him and just be gentle, okay, babe? And watch where you're stepping. There's a annual right by your feet. Oh, doesn't it look pretty from this angle too? Oh, I love it so much. Okay, so in the window box, what I ended up with were 2 of the vibrant violet dahlias, 1 of the Kufia. So those will just be a really colorful backdrop, and then 4 of the Blue Moon Punch Super Bells. I think that is such a pretty color. Yep.
Does that lay an egg?
Oh, it's kind of burrowing into the soil right there, huh?
Does that frog lay an egg? Does that guy lay an egg?
Yeah. Look, it's like nesting itself down in the soil.
Yeah, but is he laying an egg?
I don't think so. I think he's just trying to get into a cozy spot.
Hey, Mom, should we get him out of that?
No, I think we should leave him alone. They're so good for our garden, baby girl. They eat lots of bugs.
Yuck.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, one's trying to get out.
It's trying to dig. That is the cutest thing.
Yeah, will you find even more?
I don't know. Oops. I'm not sure, baby. Okay, and then in this container, one of the First Lady hibiscus, and then I did 3 of the dahlia, 3 of the kufia, and 3 super tunia royal velvet. And especially once we see some color here, it's just going to be a purple and pink beautiful show. Couple of lemon coral down here just to bring that pop. I thought about putting some of the lemon coral in the containers as well, but I think having it in the front is enough. I think if I put it up in here, it might be a little bit too much. But I am super happy to have this flower bed all done for the season. Now we just get to watch it grow. And you guys, that is going to do it for today's projects. I am so happy with everything we got done, and I'm thrilled with how they all turned out. I think they're all beautiful. I mean, starting off with the nemesia, which you can see from here in front of the pond, and then this area, and how many containers up front? 6 containers, and we had to address 2 drip issues really. One container that was completely plugged, and then cutting out some drip here. So we always run into things like that along the way, which make projects take a lot longer than you think they're going to take in the beginning. I actually need to add drip to this container too. Bethany and I were just talking about it, and we're like, man, it's always dry. Why is it dry? When I pulled all the pansies out, I noticed that the drip line had been cut and plugged. So there was no drip running up into that container, and I need to remedy that. So I'm going to add that in, but I've got everything watered in for today. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.